Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
771-0973. All right, let's get to the Cowboys pick, Clint. Cowboys picked 12th. And we had Cowboy draft coverage on 100.7 The Score last night, and I did tune in after the 11th pick was made by the San Francisco 49ers. I think it was the 49ers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so the thing that was fascinating to me is the guys doing the analysis and the draft coverage. They had a camera on the Cowboys war room, okay? Mm-hmm. And so they were discussing who was on the phone, and they were analyzing the body language of Jerry and Steven and others in the room. And it was just absolutely awesome, where this guy said, okay, Will McClay, if Will McClay is on the phone, then they're talking to a player. If Steven is on the phone, they're talking to a team. And then they were like, okay, then it was like, then all of a sudden, oh, Steven's on the line. Oh, that was a very short conversation. And he just touched Jerry on the arm. I mean, it was just awesome. It was like
actual play-by-play of what's going on in the room.
Right. And they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
They were just assuming what was going on. But they knew enough that if it was one guy, then they were, because they said Will McClay will talk to the player first. Mm-hmm. But if it's a team and they're going to make a trade, then Steven is going to be on the line, and then he'll tell the group. And apparently Houston tried to trade, but they did not offer enough. So. As they went around the room, they were really happy with Tyler Booker, the Alabama guard.
Yeah, I saw overwhelming, which, stop me if you've heard this before, the fan base that I saw was more negative on the pick than positive, and I get it.
Who did they want?
Right, and the questions I saw was, okay, who's going to catch passes, who's going to run the ball, all that stuff. And I think for the running back portion is unfair, because the one running back that, if you're going by how you draft the position, if you were going to, had been gone for quite a few picks, and there just wasn't much of a shot that Genty was going to get to you. And even then, I think you'd have a decision on your hand, because this running back group is loaded this year. Like, with the running back spot, as of now, I think they'll be fine. Obviously,
because Genty goes to Vegas with the 6th overall pick,
and you've got different things, different holes you're trying to fill for the Cowboys, but suddenly in this offseason, all of a sudden interior offensive lineman popped up, and I get 12th pick. It's not the sexy pick, and also if you look at like where he's ranked, I think depending on whose board you were looking at, like somewhere, I believe in the low 30s, high 20s, somewhere like that. And so I understand, but I also thought it was a note of, maybe they're letting Schottenheimer really weigh in on this and say, hey, for me taking over as head coach, we have to be able to run the ball.
Well, the guys doing the play-by-play of the draft war room, Brian Schottenheimer was basically just sitting there. Mm-hmm. he wasn't making any comments. All right, Jeff, our resident Cowboy fan, your take on Tyler Booker and the fact that the Cowboys in 3 of the last 4 years have taken an offensive lineman, all with the first name of Tyler.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, of the Tylers they could have taken, I'm glad they took this one and not one that plays quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Number 2, what did I say yesterday?
Cowboys do a really good job with the draft.
No, what did I say with regards to what I wanted yesterday?
You wanted an offensive lineman.
I wanted something easy. Yeah. Be smart. Follow your board. I feel like they followed their board. Mm-hmm. And does it ever go bad drafting an offensive lineman?
Not
Name
generally.
a team that they look back and go, man, sure wish we didn't draft that offensive lineman that's been protecting our quarterback that we're spending $90 billion on. No. The offensive line was terrible. and you lost one of the guys that has been a cornerstone of the team for forever. Is it sexy? No. Is it what they need? Yes.
Yeah.
Can you get a running back in the 3rd round? Yes. Can you get a wide receiver in the 2nd round? Yes. Does it do any good to get a wide receiver in the 1st round if you can't protect your quarterback on the first play? No.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and it looked like the analysis was shading towards offensive linemen when you were looking at like projections and stuff, but it had been a heavy dose of wide receiver for so long that when McMillan went, 8th with the Panthers?
He did. He went 8th.
Part of me was like, okay, well, this will be interesting to see because Golden had been linked to them.
Yeah.
And to see if they would take the Texas receiver. And they ended up skipping on it. And so it was just, I was, as soon as I saw McMillan go, I was like, okay, well, what's that decision going to be for the Cowboys? And obviously they go, OL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is now the 2nd season that Dak Prescott has been eliminated early because of a leg injury. Do quarterbacks get faster or slower after an injury? Slower. Do they get faster or slower over time? Slower. Let's protect the guy you're spending $90 billion on.
They're not doing the $1 million man surgery where you can start getting the...
Here's the ESPN analysis on this. They talk about how the Dallas run game suffered last year and that the front office committed to the run game through the offensive line. He'll go to right guard behind Cooper Beebe, who was drafted in round 3 last year, and right tackle Terrence Steele. So with the retirement of Zach Martin, he'll be one of the safest players in the draft. Wasn't ranked in the top 20 on this particular board, but the Cowboys' history of drafting offensive linemen in round 1 is brilliant.
Did you see his player comp on that?
I did not.
Tyler Smith. There's nothing wrong with it. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, and this was from This is from Matt Miller. The other thing that was interesting is Tyler Booker saying last night afterwards he had trained in Dallas. He said, "I'm glad to be a Cowboy."
Yeah.
He also wore a suit he'll never wear again. Brown jacket and white pants. He looked like a waiter or a maitre d'. I mean, it was just. It's just like
I can't talk. There's a lot of waiters that dress better than I do, Chuck. So
there were some really awesome suits, and the offensive linemen, man, they all need help. You can tell that they do not have the fashion help. Will Campbell, who was drafted by New England out of LSU, he had the worst suit. These wide green pinstripes, and this. It was just it looked like pajamas. And then another lineman, Mason Graham, who was picked by Cleveland 5th overall, hit a gray suit. It was terrible suit.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Today is Friday, April the 25th. Here's Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history.
1950, Chuck and Clint. Chuck Cooper becomes the first African-American to be drafted into the NBA, drafted by the Boston Celtics. 1978, mascot, the Philly Fanatic, makes his first appearance.
You pro or on the
Philly Fanatic?
Yeah, you like him?
I'm a fan.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I enjoy most of the baseball mascots, but I think we don't remember them as much. Philly Fanatic is kind of the leader in the clubhouse there.
Yes.
And the San Diego Chicken.
Sure. I also think of, which again, this doesn't help my case if I can't remember his name, but the Colorado Rockies Triceratops getting hatched in the 90s. But that was more of just for the gimmick of him getting hatched.
Yeah. 1993, NFL Draft, Washington State quarterback Drew Bledsoe, first pick by the New England Patriots. 2014, the number 21 Texas Tech Red Raider team scored 5 straight innings to open the game and used 5 strong innings in relief from senior Johnny Droz to defeat Oklahoma 9-5. Sophomore first baseman, I want to read that again because it's not registering in my head that he was a sophomore at this point. Sophomore first baseman Eric Gutierrez drove in a pair of runs in the first with an RBI single down the right field line, and sophomore left fielder Tyler Neslony gave Tech a 5-2 lead in the second with his 3rd home run of the season. Sophomore first baseman Eric, wow. Now he's first base coach, Eric Gutierrez. 2019 NFL Draft, Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray goes number 1 overall to the Arizona Cardinals.
That really hasn't worked out for him.
Yeah, and you wonder when they would circle back to the quarterback situation. I know he's under a big contract right now, but I'm just curious about their thoughts on the actual quarterback situation and what would it take for them to make any sort of move. I don't think, obviously, it'll happen a major one in this draft or like in this season, but like next year, if it's another mediocre year or below average year, do they start moving on?
Yeah.
It is National Zucchini Bread Day.
I've never had zucchini bread.
I have. It's not bad. It's. I'm not going to order it, but it's not bad.
I'm assuming it's supposed to be savory since it's zucchini, right?
I don't know. I mean, it has a
Not sweet.
taste.
We'll put it that way.
It has a taste to it. I mean, but if you
a zucchini taste.
If you gave me my choice between raisin bread, okay, and anything, I mean, it would be the last on my list. But I mean, it wasn't bad. I think that I don't want anybody to make it for me today.
Sounds like you want someone to make them for you.
No,
today.
I do not.
Zucchini bread stat here at the Raymar compound.
No, not looking for that.
Before we get to today's birthdays,
Banana bread would be number 1 on the list.
Ooh, lemon poppy seed guy. Sorry, we got off on a bread talk. Jeff, keep going. Apologize.
Before we get to today's birthdays, tomorrow, one of our favorite people, if not just because of his baseball abilities, but because against his fight of cancer, Chad Bennis, 36.
Okay.
Tomorrow. On Sunday, another one of the guys we really root for around here, Ray Hayward, turned 64.
Oh, nice.
Today, Al Pacino, 85, Jason Lee, 55, Renee Zellweger, 56, Hank Azaria, 61, and Tim Duncan is 49.
I think Tim Duncan, if you had us guess, would have been the one I would have been closest to age-wise. Al Pacino, which you started with, you said 85?
Yes.
I would have missed that by a lot.
Think he's like in his 60s? Or you think he's in his hundreds?
No, I would have undershot that.
You have undershot it?
Yeah. But then I remember how long he has been doing movies. How long we've been hearing hoo-ah!
He just in the last couple of years, he's got a 2-year-old. Al Pacino does.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I was very invested in that story 2 years ago, Chuck. I haven't thought about that since.
He has a son, Roman, who was born in June of 23 with his producer girlfriend. I don't know if it's producer because she produced a child for him or producer because...
No, that's reproducer.
And on this day in 1945.
Reproducer girlfriend.
She's 53. I mean, she's no spring chicken.
But he was an 83-year-old papa.
He's got 4 kids. He's never been married.
Hoo-ah.
There you go. Dog Day afternoon.
Now we go into an Any Given Sunday speech, Jeff. We're setting you up for it.
Take a flamethrower to this place. 1945. President Harry S. Truman learns the full details of the Manhattan Project, in which scientists are attempting to create the first atomic bomb. The information thrust upon Harry Truman was a momentous decision. Wow, hard for me to say. Whether or not to use the world's first weapon of mass destruction.
What that movie that came out here recently?
Oppenheimer?
Have you seen that movie?
I still haven't seen Oppenheimer.
I'm telling you, it is worth almost 3 hours. It's 3+ hours, I think. It's
a take a sack lunch movie, yeah.
But I mean, it is worth it if you're on a trip somewhere, you're on a train or a plane or in a car and you don't want to talk to anybody. It's an awesome movie.
It is certainly that I haven't been interested in it or wasn't interested when it was in theater. Mm-hmm. It just turned into one of those things. Okay, I'll watch it eventually. Yeah, and have said that since it's been out.
Truman almost found out about the Manhattan Project before today in 45. He was looking at military contracts that were being very large money spent on without a lot of product coming out of, and ran across where the Manhattan Project was coming in on. And when he asked for specific information about it, the people in charge went, "This one's fine." And he went, "Okay." and that was the end of that investigation for the Manhattan Project, making sure that there wasn't like frivolous spending on military contracts and people trying to take advantage of the government. The people that knew were like, you don't need to worry about this project. And he went, okay. That's all I needed.
He's very compliant.
Extremely compliant. Like, the right people went to him and said, leave this one alone. Cool. Next. That's his day in sports.
Buck stops here, right?
Well, this is before the buck stopped here.
Oh, okay.
This is well before the buck. This is when he was vice president.
Oh, I got you. He was the vice president
and
at that point.
Was looking into frivolous spending by the U.S. military.
Before
people overcharging them for goods because they could.
Before FDR went to Hot Springs and met his demise. 6:52 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that. Do you have a Jeff? Do you have a favorite Al Pacino movie? Are you just going to say, is it just default to Godfather?
No.
Okay.
It's very hard for me not to say Scent of a Woman. It's a phenomenal movie. Mm-hmm. Any Given Sunday is really good, but I would say The Godfather is better for sure.
Okay. He won an Oscar for Scent of a Woman,
as he should have.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like, the entire movie is so well done. There are a lot of people that when you hear the tango think of that movie. Well, I think of True Lies because, you get the guy in the box going, we don't have time for this, Harry. Come on, Harry, are you listening to me? That's just funny to me. But you get the speech in the courtroom at the end where Al Pacino is just basically just telling the school board to shove it in the best Al Pacino mode ever. Big, huge fan.
I would tell you, for me, a Dog Day Afternoon or And Justice for All. I love Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, Heat's good, too, off the Yates Flooring Center.
Yeah.
That's an excellent one, too.
Yeah. All right, so there's your... Who knew that you were going to get to Al Pacino today, right?
I know.
Didn't have that on your bingo
I
card.
didn't, but I enjoyed the conversation.
Okay. 6:55 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thanks for... He also was part of Glenn Ross, the remake, which you can no longer show the old version in a sales meeting where first prize is Cadillac and second prize is steak knives and third prize is a pink slip. Apparently it's too mean to show that to salespeople now that aren't performing.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Clint Scott is in for Jamie Lent. Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you, all three of us, from the First United Bank studio. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that of the morning. Mobile app, which is presented by Happy State Bank. Also, the Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. I forgot to do that at the start of the hour, too, because I was kind of on my rant with...
You're still in sales and wiring mode.
Yeah, Glengarry and Glenn Ross. It disappoints me that we have, I say we, I mean, as a group, as a society of salespeople, that they are so weak and thin-skinned that they can't handle the criticism of managers or just, a simple kind of prodding of trying to, kind of get people to be motivated a little bit of coffees for closers or, wanting the best leads.
Is this like one of those press conferences where a coach comes in and is being very thinly veiled about something? Mm-hmm. Or are we trying to, push some people?
I'm not. No, this is not. I'm in charge of nobody. I'm barely in charge of myself, right? But anyway, neither said there. But you can't show it. You can't show those quotes anymore in a sales meeting, or you get sued because somebody gets offended by it. Oh, I got my feelings hurt because Mr. Bad Guy made me feel bad because he said coffee is for closers.
Is this something that's like taught? Like you can't say this stuff now?
I mean, I'm serious. You cannot show.
That's a genuine question.
You cannot show the quote of somebody asking for better leads and saying, "No, coffees for closers, and we're going to have a sales contest. First prize is a Cadillac, second prize is steak knives, and third prize is a pink slip. No, you can't show that anymore because somebody did, and they got sued, and so now, you can't do that anymore, apparently.
It's interesting to think about an Al Pacino-based lawsuit.
Well, this is the old version. This is the black and white. This is the original.
Okay. The original one.
Yeah, which is the better one.
Okay.
Which is the better Glengarry Glen Ross. Okay, here's a question for you, and we'll have baseball for you tonight. Tech in Arizona, 6 o'clock, 6:30 play-by-play. Hopefully the weather holds. Here's a wild thought that you probably didn't think about on Monday. Could Tyler Shuck be actually picked before Shedeur Sanders?
Man, well, and his Shuck's rise through all of this pre-draft stuff has been very confusing and very intriguing because I just do not see him as a franchise quarterback or anything like an organization shifting quarterback even. But I think he's going to have a fine career. I think he can be a backup and who knows, maybe, I guess, prove a lot of us wrong out here. I just don't see that happening. But I would still be floored if he was drafted before Sanders. Even with I'll be honest, Chuck, I'm expecting Sanders' name to be called within the first 10 picks of the next round because I think that's what was expected from at least the unnamed assistant coach, which I always love the unnamed source, especially when it's like harsh criticism like that. He that unnamed assistant coach, Chuck, bashed like 3 different things, and the ending was it took him to the third point to get and he's not very good.
And
he's a bad interviewer, he's a bad locker room guy. Oh yeah, and I don't think he's that good as a quarterback. Even with all of that, it was like, okay, could he slide out of the first round? But not once has it been. The question been asked by the projections and by the experts. Well, could he fall to the third round? Could he keep going? And all of a sudden, the fourth round. I think this will be wrapped up quickly. But the fact that he actually dropped to the second round when you go from the start of last year, Chuck, of college football and the season last year. And the expectation for him, and we bickered back and forth, is he talented enough to be a first-round guy? And yes, there's talent there, but then all of a sudden you ask the questions and you have like Deion Sanders saying things like, hey, be careful if you're the team that drafts my son, we might not show up, which that's not going to help either, right? That's going to drive some teams away. Yeah. And I think that played a huge part of why you saw, the quarterback-needy Giants trade back into the first round for a second pick and it not be Sanders, because that was originally who that conversation was based around. But I think the Sanders draft story will be wrapped up fairly quickly today.
Very quickly. Okay. All right. Would you have liked the Cowboys to have picked Matthew Golden?
No, I'm with Jeff. I actually liked the offensive line pick there for what you needed, but at the same time, if they had taken Golden, I don't think that there was between those two guys a wrong pick. And it could have been another offensive lineman if they had fallen in love with him that was around the same projection. I don't think that would have been a bad pick. And part of that is we'll just have to wait to see how those guys' careers play out anyways and what the Cowboys do, through the rest of the draft, right?
I thought the Green Bay presentation was awesome for their draft pick. They picked 23rd. Their president, who's retiring, Mark McMurphy, who was a Super Bowl champion with the Washington Redskins, played on the same Super Bowl team as Texas Tech great Curtis Jordan. And he said, we're going to do something that we haven't done, blah, blah, blah. And everybody knew they're picking a wide receiver. And then Matthew Golden came out, and he had an awesome suit, by the way. He had this gold kind of...
Did you get notes on every suit?
I made notes on about the first 10, and then on some that I thought were terrible suits, and then I thought Matthew Golden. He was awesome. He came out, and then he addressed the crowd, and he was just really excited, probably relieved, excited, all those things at the same time because he'd been sitting back there in the green room, and then he said, give me a Green Bay. And the crowd responded with a Green Bay. And then with the Scott Van Pelt just a little bit later, right after the end of the draft, I watched just a little bit of that. He said, He said, "Okay, he's new to town. He doesn't know that it's Go Pack Go." Because I was like, he's like, "Give me a Green Bay," and the crowd responded, "Green Bay!" I mean, it was awesome.
They bought in. At least it wasn't like a dud, and they were like, "What? Like, give me a Green Bay?" Like, what?
Because when they were introducing the pick, and then they had the Packer music. I mean, it was blaring. It was awesome. I mean, they did. It was awesome. But and then I thought about Jamie with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they picked Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, a cornerback, and he had a terrific blue suit on. And they kind of, hey, Bills, and he played at Kentucky, so that's probably why he had the blue on. But it worked out, right? He was big energy as well.
He was. I'm always, because I mean, if you go into this for these guys, a lot of them have been dreaming about this for a very, very long time. Sure. And then also, depending on where you're picked, like you're saying with Golden, if you have to wait a while, especially if you're in the room there and you're live there at Green Bay, I mean, I think those nerves, or I would guess anyways, that those nerves get amplified. And so then when they get picked, and then it's like, okay, now you're on stage. Here's the jersey. Here's Goodell. And then, hey, go talk on live TV for just a second. I would probably go into the category of, like, I'm losing my mind and I wouldn't be able to, like, speak correct sentences. But he did. He was very entertaining.
It was a long walk from the green room to the stage there at Lambeau. The stage was set up outside. But I thought, Matthew Golden, I mean, addressing the crowd, and he was the only one to do that. I mean, it was a big crowd moment. I thought he was outstanding. Thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, if you're going to have, I mean, depending on where you think you're going to go, if you have to wait and you are going to get nervous, you might as well get drafted by the home team there, though, right? That was probably awesome to experience.
The other thing I was glad for last night is at least ESPN's coverage. They did not show the guys, just malingering and just head down in the green room. They kind of left them to be private. I thought that was appropriate. There were some.
Well, they kept on showing the Sanders shot. That's why.
It was just too good, right? I'm in a way right now rooting for, I think, Tyler Shuck to get drafted before Shadir Sanders. I think that would be.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3, presented today by someone not named Jamie, is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
I have your question of the day today. And to you fine gentlemen in our fine listening audience, I want to go to Red Raider basketball.
Okay.
Portal talk. So we have the commitment of big man Luke Bamboye from VCU.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about him yet.
And very excited about him. Looks like a very, very good shot blocker.
Okay.
Explosive athletic ability. And the best part is, he's a big that is much needed on the roster. But
6'10".
Yep. VCU.
200.
Between Luke Bamboye from VCU, Josiah Mosley from Villanova, Donovan Atwell from UNC Greensboro, Lawan Watts from Washington State, and Tyree Bryan from Santa Clara. You also have freshman Nolan Groves coming in, so we can include him on this conversation. But of your commits as of now, which player intrigues you the most?
Oh, goodness. Probably the one coming back that you had last year, JT Toppin.
Well, yeah, sure. Sorry, which new face? How if I say that?
Well, I think Bamboye, because I'm curious as to the role that he fills, and is he a better big than what you had in Federico? So in his case, Bamboye, he averaged under 4 points a game, right at 3 rebounds a game, and a couple of blocks a game as a freshman. So does he and can you put some meat on the bone there, because he only weighs 200 pounds? So I mean, he's 6'10", so he's a toothpick, so you probably got to fill him out a little bit there, and then how does that translate? So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Bamboye. Jeff?
I feel like it's the wrong answer, and I don't know why, but
There's no wrong answer.
it feels like this is a wrong answer. Josiah Mosley. I'm interested to see. I mean, because he's had what we're gonna face in Big 12 play. He knows what that's gonna look like. He's faced good basketball teams, and he feels like a guy from Villanova that you can do something with. Although you look at his numbers, they're okay, but they're not blow you away numbers. I feel like he's a very nice piece that I'm interested to see where it goes with Grant McCaslin. I know that Clint's not been here with us every day. I'm done underestimating what Grant McCaslin can do. Like, every time 2 years ago we took over, we're like, hey, just get back to relevant basketball again, because last year sucked. And then it makes a tournament. And this year it's like, hey, you're middle of the Big 12 and go from there. And what's he do? He almost wins the conference. Beats the team, has the only win over the team that won the conference. Like, I'm done underestimating what he can do. I'm interested to see where that can go and how he can help, because he's got experience that will help some of the guys on this team.
I feel like both of those guys are massive upside guys and big time potential for both of them, and obviously fill a need where Bamboya's coming in as a true big, and Mosley feels like he might be more of a wing but can also play big. And if you're going small ball, will probably find his way down by the rim and is going to be a piece when he's on the court that you're looking to make an impact with rebounds. I think the one that we'll have three different answers. This is perfect because I'm going to go Lawan Watts here. And the reason is it just seems like, I know nothing is complete and it's not done till it's done, but is anybody expecting Darian Williams back at this point?
Not to me. I'm not.
And Lawan Watts, although it's hard for anybody in the country, for any player that they like, to find a one-for-one replacement. But if you're looking at skill set wise of what Darian Williams, and even build wise, what made Williams such a tough matchup for everybody in the conference, that feels like the type of player that Lawan Watts is. And if you're going for as close to a one-for-one in a perfect world, it feels like Watts for Williams that's why you're bringing him on the roster. And even if you had Williams back, you'd love to have two of those guys, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's why he's here. And can he, if that's the case, from Washington State, can he hit as much as you hit on Darian Williams for 2 years?
That's a big if there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've waffled on Darian Williams because you hear that he's still out there waiting in the wings, but it just feels like, and Jamie and I talked about this yesterday, with every day that goes by, it feels like it gets further and further away. It feels like at this point, if he was going to be here, he'd be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see how quickly he signs and where he signs and what kind of money he does sign for.
I guess the only thing I would push back on that is the NBA draft process still holds a part of that conversation. And we've seen guys test the waters and then transfer here, like a JT Toppin. But I will say on the other side of that, to speak out of both sides of my mouth, it felt like, hey, if Toppin doesn't go to the draft, he'll come here. And we were just going, please don't go to the draft, and you'll be a Red Raider. And it worked out that way. But that's the only thing I'm hanging on to right now.
I think Darian Williams, would be somewhat foolish to go to the NBA draft, almost like the Taj Brooks situation last year. With he's going to make more money in college than he is in the NBA.
Oh, yes. I mean, for the remainder that he has eligibility-wise, I think Darian Williams can make it to the NBA. I've seen he's not an NBA player, not tall enough, not athletic enough. There are guys with a similar game to his right now in the league and a similar size that are doing just fine. Now, is he for sure going to make it? Absolutely not. But I think he has a chance. Mm-hmm. As far as the money side goes, though, yeah, he's not going to make near as much as what he's going to make at the college level, at least at the first or the start of his career, whatever that ends up being professionally.
Yeah. So why would he risk that now when he doesn't have to?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
it's wishful thinking for me, Chuck, that if he doesn't come back, which again, I mean, I'm not saying there's a remote chance of that happening. It's wishful thinking for me to go, if that doesn't happen, please go to the draft.
We are a long ways away from the hardship case that the high school kids used to have to make as to why they could go to the NBA. I wonder when we'll have a hardship case as to why they need a 5th or a 6th year to play college basketball. I can't afford to leave college basketball. I'm going to plead a hardship case.
I don't know, man.
It's flipped.
Yeah.
But I mean, in all seriousness, back in the day, these guys that weren't eligible to be drafted, you could plead for a hardship case, and there were some of those that were granted. They didn't always work out, but you were able to get in there and get some money.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Clint Scott is in for Jamie Lent this morning, and Jeff McGuire. You'll hear more of Jeff at 9 on the end of the bench with David Collier on 100.7 The Score. I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you, Clint and Jeff and I, from the First United Bank studio here in downtown Lubbock. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that of the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Okay. Well, we've cobbled through it so far this morning. Yeah. We'll have lots of baseball on the air for you tonight. We have this afternoon a doubleheader with Friendship and San Angelo Central. That'll be at 4 on Sunny 97.7. Is that 4 or 4:30?
4:30.
4:30. Okay, 4:30 the broadcast time. So see if they get both those games in tonight. The rain's supposed to, I think, hold off. I mean, it'll be all right.
Yeah, hopefully. But I'm not going to say anything confidently one way or the other, because whatever I do, if I say something like that, it'll ruin it. Yesterday, we had talked to Choice when he was on the way, and we asked him what the weather looked like with Central when he was there, and he said, "Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. No clouds or anything like that." And then as soon as we ended that conversation, 5 minutes later, got a text starting to rain. Thankfully, it worked out.
All right, and then we'll have Liberty baseball for you on the air tonight on Young Country 93.1. That'll feature Big Spring and Liberty. Okay,
that is top of that district at 13-1, and bottom of the district at 1-13. Liberty has had a great year.
Okay, they're 13-1.
Mm-hmm. Big Spring has not.
Has not. Okay, well, sorry about you. Right? Right? Sure.
Yeah, I was just reporting the records there.
I understand. I provide the commentary and the critique. We'll have Astro baseball for you on the air tonight from Kansas City. 6:40 the broadcast time. 7:05 the broadcast from Royal Stadium there in Kansas City. Okay. On 100.7 The Score. And then Red Raider baseball tonight at 6 here on Double T 97.3 from Rip Griffin Park. They take on Arizona, the Wildcats. Okay. And look forward to that tonight on Double T 97.3. And then after that, as long as this thing doesn't go into the wee hours of the morning, we'll have the Rangers and the Giants from San Francisco. Okay.
Be a nice little crowd upgrade, even though it didn't go well in the end there for the Rangers at Sacramento.
Yeah.
Have you had any issues now that we're in the season of referring to them as Oakland still for the A's?
Yes, thank you for putting that back in my brain. I
Sorry.
had a couple of those yesterday.
Well, hey, good news. After this, you get to deal with it again, because I believe that is the next opponent back at home for the Rangers. We get to see the Athletics again.
This is stupid.
The formerly known as Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, they refuse to be called the Sacramento Athletics. They're just the Athletics.
I guess I get that to an extent. If in their situation they knew Sacramento wasn't their home, and it's like, hey, thanks for this, by the way, for helping us out, but we also don't want you to be associated with us, because as soon as we say Sacramento A's and we leave in 3 years when we know we're going to, I guess I get that.
Yeah.
The A's are also just screwed up in several ways anyway, so
so tonight you'll have Mac Ewert on the mound, so you hope that he can kind of go back to where he was in his last start. He got knocked out because he got hit by a batted ball, but you hope that he can kind of pick up where he left off. He's 1-2 on the year with a .615 earned run average. I mean, Arizona, they're a good team, really good team. They're ranked 16th in one poll, 21st in another, 20th in another, 19th in another, 15th in another. I still do not understand why we need so many doggone polls in baseball. I mean, we've got 2 in football. We live with them. We've got 2 in basketball. We live with them. But baseball, for God's sake, they got to have 5.
Well, and even then, I feel like you have the AP and you have the coaches, but which one do we really lean to? Like, there's even one that we just lean more to the AP.
I think I lean more to the AP than I do the coaches poll.
And so I do think that is funny. Like, you don't even have one of the 4. The one of the 4 that we lean to is the one that's the most favorable.
Sure, and so does Arizona, because they refer to themselves as the 16th ranked Arizona Wildcats. Okay.
Well, we do that with softball because 3 of the 4 have it right because they have you ranked 11th. And then USA softball is all sorts of screwed up this week at 12th. I don't know what's going on over there. USA softball, get it together.
Yeah, so we'll get a couple things from Coach Tadlock here in just a moment. So I look forward to that. Tomorrow, Tyler Boudreau will go for the Red Raiders, and then Zane Petty on Sunday. So just look to see if you can kind of figure out a way to win a series here and put yourself in a little bit better spot as far as the Big 12 standings are concerned. Clearly, it's been a disappointing season for the Red Raiders, especially when you kind of thought going into it that they had a chance to, make a bit of a run and maybe host a regional. I don't know that you had Omaha aspirations. I'm sure they did, because that's the expectation, right? I mean, as outlandish as that may seem. You've got basketball schools that expect to be in the Final Four. You've got, college football teams that expect to be in the football playoffs, especially now with it going to 12. And here, the expectation is compete at least for a chance to get to Omaha. And here we're going to go 2 years in a row without making the tournament. Well, unless you win the Big 12 tournament.
And I think that's what adds into the disappointment, because you go into what happened last year and how you missed the tournament, but you performed better still than what you did this year. And I think we all sat here and go, okay, well, that was the down year, right? That was the down year. You'll bounce back and you'll be back in the tournament, and hopefully you're back in the tournament with a shot at maybe, like you said, playing for one of the regional host sites. And to have it go even more awry this year has been, not saying anything new here, but has been incredibly disappointing, but I also think just wildly surprising with how the season has played out. And then even you go through the first 10 games, you just kept on going, okay, just wait till they figure it out. This roster can figure it out. They'll find a way to figure it out. And then they just haven't. And you've gone through now where you're staring down the barrel of, a losing season, which is just crazy to think about. Just didn't have that on the radar at all.
Yeah, no, I think you're. I mean, because I don't think that I would be shocked at this point in time if you got above 500.
Yeah,
you're 13-23.
Yeah,
I mean, you played 39 games. You'd have to go 13-3 on the way home
while going through this 8-game stretch of all top 40 RBI teams.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Ugh.
All right, a couple things for Coach Tadlock next. You can continue to weigh in on that, the draft, the portal. Darion Williams, softball, what you're going to cook this weekend, if you're going to cook anything this weekend. Are you cooking anything this weekend?
Yeah, we're cooking something. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Smoking something or?
No.
Inside?
No.
You're inside.
Yeah. I'm a pan-sear, cast iron.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.